Well. Good morning, everybody. Rush to the West Ham Network. Bin day in the Budden household. Absolute scenes. Did England win? Women do well yesterday. Whoa, what a game. Honestly, so exciting. And Michelle Hadjiman, fucking hell, she's on fire, that girl. And Chloe Kelly, I don't like that little sort of like hop she does when she does a penalty. But look, we're through to the final. Beat those eye ties, yeah. So anyway, very good. But what I want to do is obviously yesterday all we spoke about was Callum bloody Wilson. I'm going to talk about another Callum today, amongst other things, and talk about some players we've been linked with. Now it does seem to me. Now again, I love a conspiracy theory. You know what I mean? Is it a coincidence that literally that when the news dropped that, and in terms of sort of what was said, it was in an article in Hammer's News, and it was a line from a senior source which said, we will sign Callum Wilson. And then that was it. Then the fallout happened. It was that one line. And obviously X then got, the same answer from the same senior source. And unsurprisingly, they're saying the same thing. However, has it kicked the supercomputer up the arse a little bit? Because we seem to be linked with a lot of players, a lot of strikers since then. And that's 24 hours after apparently we didn't want a striker. So we didn't want a striker. And then basically Sullivan says we're going to sign Callum Wilson. We're probably going to sign him. And then there's been lots more striker news and lots more players we've been linked with. I'll talk about some more. We'll talk about another free transfer, which I don't think will happen, but someone we've been linked with quite often. Luca Yovic, obviously, back when we signed Sebastian Haller, he was part of that three, wasn't it? It was Jovic, Rebic, and Haller. And then proverbially, we've been linked. We've had interest in Jovic throughout the following years. Now, these London club have been linked again with Luca. He is now a free agent. He left AC Milan at the end of the 24-25 season, searching for a fresh challenge. Last season, he only made 4 goals in all competitions. Although, to be fair, opportunities were rather sparse. He's played for some of the most... He's 27. He's played for some of the most decorated sides in Europe. He's won the Champions League with Real Madrid. He was against Fiorentina, wasn't he, as well? And now, according to Estadio Sportivo, West Ham are interested in signing him once again. However, a host of other clubs are interested in Getafe, Real Oviedo, to pronounce just a few. And we believe that Oviedo are making good progress in signing him. But he has also been given a juicy offer from the Saudi Pro League as well. He's failed to score more than 6 league goals since the 2018-19 season when he scored 17 for Eintracht Frankfurt. He's got a couple of years to prove himself. But, would I rather have Luka Jovic or Callum Wilson? I'd probably rather have Jovic. He's got 6 years on Callum Wilson. Yes, he hasn't got Premier League experience, but he's got experience everywhere else. Free transfer. I'm sure other clubs will be interested in him as well. And so that's why it's almost like it's been kick-started our hunt to try and find a decent striker now. And I'm not saying it was done purely out of spite for that, but it does seem a bit strange because not just him we've been linked with today. We've also been linked with a youngster, 18, 19-year-old? 18-year-old forward for Metz called Idrissa Gueye. Not the Everton one. This is the Metz striker. And we've been chasing him apparently for some time. The good news is we are only fighting Southampton apparently for his signature, which is good, but not good. Surely others would put into the supercomputer. It's been claimed that actually Macaulay arranged for West Ham, Callum Macaulay arranged for West Ham to watch Idrissa in action for Metz in their pre-season friendly against Lens this weekend. And we do have quite a nice in with Idrissa, as we've just signed his mate, El Haj Malik Diouf. Not only are they best friends, obviously international teammates as well. According to the report, West Ham are pushing to make a quick decision on a deal for Idrissa because Southampton apparently have made an official approach. He scored 6 goals in 13 appearances during his breakout season for Metz last season, helping them get promoted back to League A. He was on the bench when Senegal played played England the other month, obviously where Diouf shined, and that was one of the reasons why. We'd obviously been scouting for a little bit, but that was one of the main reasons why we went for him. So we've got Agent Souček, who happened with Diouf. Could we have Agent Diouf and get Idrissa? Who knows? Who knows? But on a day yesterday when we were talking about one Callum, another Callum should have taken more headlines than Callum bloody Wilson. Callum bloody Marshall. He's only gone and scored again. He's one Callum we can all get behind. And actually, to be perfectly honest, he is really taking this pre-season by the horns and thinking, fuck, there's a spot in this squad for me. And I'm doing it. He scored a great goal against Zurich Grasshoppers the other day, and he scored again yesterday. West Ham had a behind closed door friendly encounter against Ipswich Town, and he scored another goal. He was on target again as we won. We played basically 2 60-minute matches, and we won the first one 2-1 with Callum Marshall scoring, and then I think Lucas Paqueta was the other one for us. And then the second game finished 1-0 to West Ham due to an Ipswich Town own goal. So one Callum we can definitely get behind him. And when there was the whole outpouring about when Potter allegedly said we didn't need a striker, but if that's the case, if we don't need a striker, why are we, or we're not interested in the striker, why are we going to scout people at Metz over the weekend? So a lot of this is Chinese whispers and different words, and I think we obviously hang on every word that's being reported. We do. I mean, as I said, the Callum Wilson thing really only came from one line from a Hammers News article earlier yesterday. So, and then the West Ham world's fallen out of his arse because of it. Same as Potter saying we don't need any strikers. It's not saying that. It says, I think, to be honest, he's got a limited budget and he's looking at options. Idrissa Gueye from Metz is an option, and so is Callum Marshall. Callum Marshall is an option. The guy is, as I said, I think it was yesterday. If you look at the players that have left, there's a Danny Ings-shaped hole in that match day squad. Not saying Callum will start, but in the same way that Danny Ings was utilised sparingly, I would suggest, but there's a space there for him, and he is taking that chance. And there's no doubt he'll be on the plane to the US tour. Obviously, we play Man United on Saturday at the MetLife Center in New Jersey, and he's doing exactly what the academy should be doing at pre-season. Billy the Kids, Billy Reid, the assistant manager, said the other day in an interview which we spoke about a couple of days ago that Potter will give youth a chance and they need to take a chance. He is taking that chance. I think Freddie Potts is taking that chance as well. And so, although when that report was mentioned about Potter not wanting to buy a forward, I think it's fair to say that it could be suggested he saw enough in Callum Marshall and, the enough, as we said before, with Bowen and Somerville potentially, and Paqueta could play that position. And, Souček's played as a 10. It's an area which we need to improve on, but actually maybe the midfield is more critical at the moment. And I totally agree. And a decent centre half and a goalkeeper. We do score goals and we can score goals with what we've got. And I still think there's Mikel Antonio contract still on the table. As I said, he still hasn't gone anywhere, despite the fact that his agent said that they had all this big money offers. He ain't gone nowhere. But Callum Marshall, and to be perfectly honest, I've seen Marshall play a lot. He had a decent loan spell at Huddersfield. I didn't think he would take the ball by the horns so much. No, that's not right. He'll always put 100% effort in, Callum does. But to see the output, great goal against Zurich, another goal yesterday, and maybe gets a couple of goals over in the US. And then, to be honest, there's no justification for him not to be in the matchday squad for the first game of the season, or at least be in the squad for the Lille game on the BS Cup, and see how it goes on. I'm not saying he's a starter. I'm not saying he's going to be the answer to our problems, because I don't think he is long term. I think as an impact player, as someone who can come on and make a difference, he's hungry. I've always said he reminds me of a young Craig Bellamy. He'll always score goals, I think, wherever division he's in. And people and players do mature at different ages. Callum's 21, 20. Callum's 20. So, he's got I always say he's got his formative years ahead of him, and he does. Don't really know how for me, he wouldn't, in the way Potter, unfortunately, the way Potter sets up, I can't really see how he would, what position it would be his position. But to be thrown on with 15, 20 minutes to go, chasing a goal, offering something different, going maybe to two up top with a Fulkrug and Marshall 2, for example, that could work. There's options there. There's options. As I said, Idrissa Gueye, 18. Metz will probably want a decent number for him because they've just been promoted. But he only sort of played a few games from his last season, so who knows? Anyway, that's me done, my peeps. Hope you have a lovely Wednesday. If you're new around here, give it a like, comment, a little emoji, anything will do. And as I said, not just for us, but any other West Ham content you work with. All the guys are grafted and doing lots of content for you to enjoy and you to debate and you to disagree with. So it all helps, and it doesn't cost anything. That's the important thing. It doesn't cost you nothing to click a button to subscribe, click an emoji and send it, or hit a button to say I like it. Helps everyone out. Yeah, Holly will be back, I think, this afternoon at lunchtime. She's going to do a thought piece about why we shouldn't sign Callum Wilson. Anyway, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble. Much love.